Ronan Lee joins us from Brisbane. He's a doctoral prize fellow at Loughborough University, focusing on genocide and migration. Ronan, always good to talk to you on this subject. So if these people want to go back home, they really can't, because first of all, their villages have been razed or burned to the ground. And even if they did have their villages left, how could they possibly feel safe back in Myanmar?
Well, it's not safe for the Rohingya to return to Myanmar. I mean, despite it being their ancestral home, the people who genocidally deported them from that country in 2017, the Myanmar military, have undertaken a coup within Myanmar. They've got more power and more control of Myanmar than they did in 2017. So the prospects of the Rohingyas' return being in any way safe are pretty remote. Rohingya that I talk to are almost unanimous. So in fact, they're very clear in saying they want to return to their homes in Myanmar when it's safe, but it's just simply not safe. And that's been documented as well by UN investigators.
Now, on this grim anniversary, I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been 5 years that they've been living in these dozens of camps in Bangladesh. We hear them saying, you know, the international community needs to do more to help. We also hear former Myanmar government officials calling for the same. But it's not clear what the international community could do that actually would make a difference. What do you see?
Well, for a start, the international community could fully fund the humanitarian response that's being provided to the Rohingya within Bangladesh. I mean, these are Myanmar nationals who are refugee residents of Bangladesh. The UN's fundraising call to provide support for the refugees is, I think at the moment, only less than 20% funded. Oh. So that places a huge burden upon Bangladesh. The other thing the international community could do is ensure that the people who genocidally deported the Rohingya from Myanmar, the Myanmar military, are removed from power within that country. Because if they'll do this to the Rohingya, you can be certain that they will do it to other groups too. We know they've turned their weapons on civilians within Myanmar. They've targeted peaceful protesters and jailed democracy activists within Myanmar. But groups like the Rohingya are not the only group that the Myanmar military would happily undertake military actions like this against to drive out of the country. And ensuring that this doesn't happen in other places, I think it's important for there to be a robust response. And that hasn't been the case. I mean, it's been 5 years. The Rohingya are languishing in camps. They haven't been able to safely return home. The message that gives to despots the world over is that you can get away with this sort of behavior.
Absolutely, absolutely. And conditions inside those camps have grown increasingly horrible. Ronan, thanks very much for your insight.